Okay, so this one's going to be political post. So, depending on the politics of my 2 subscribers, I might end up after this video with no subscribers or possibly even more subscribers. You never know. So, I was going to do a video about why Kier Starmer is so unpopular, even amongst Labour voters themselves, and also why reform is so popular. Although I acknowledge that the Green Party is becoming a lot more popular as well. But that's another issue. Why fringe parties are getting more popular. But specifically, I've decided to do a video about Keir Starmer and reform because the two are kind of tied in together. So the reason I believe one of the major reasons why I think Keir Starmer is so unpopular, aside from the fact that he's kind of clueless, he's done what, about 16 U-turns now. For me, it's the fact that he doesn't put British interests first. At least that's the appearance that he gives. So, for example, he's first in line to suck up to Zelensky and Ukraine and provide support to Ukraine. Pledges allegiance to other overseas issues and interests. Now, essentially, the issue that the British public are annoyed about in general is just, I think, the fact that as taxpayers, you expect that your taxpayers' money is going to be spent on services that benefit you. Cleaning the streets, like being able to get a doctor's appointment, being able to get a dentist appointment, public toilets, just housing, all sorts of services, which have gradually deteriorated over time, yet the amount of tax that we pay just kind of generally seems to go up, particularly council tax in where I live in Sheffield. But then, there's no concept of putting Britain first. It's all about, oh, look what we're doing on the world stage. And Starmer is a globalist. And he doesn't get it. He doesn't get that it annoys taxpayers that he seems more interested, and he's also a Europhile as well. So that's another thing. He's not focused on this country and the best interests of its taxpayers. Now, the reason he's a bit clueless when it comes to politics is probably the reason, partly, why he was elected to be Prime Minister by the Labour Party, because, as we've seen with Donald Trump, there has been a kind of disillusionment with mainstream politicians to the point where people who don't necessarily have a political background, which, like, for example, Trump didn't before 2016, and also Kier Starmer, who wasn't a politician but as a background as a lawyer, are seen as being potentially more popular. Well, Labour shot themselves in the foot with that one. Consequently, the flip side of the coin is this explains why reform is so popular, because contrary to what most lefties who hate reform believe, they are not some kind of like far right Nazis. Yes, they have a policy where they wish to radically cut immigration, but that is part of a bigger umbrella about putting British taxpayers first and like the English first. So, but you see, this common misconception arises because the people who disagree with them know that reform stands on a platform of reduced immigration, or at least a points-based system, although I'm not even sure if they're even aware of that. So it's like very, very basic in their very simplistic minds, which is they don't like foreigners. Because they don't like foreigners, it isn't that they're xenophobic, it's that they're far right. That's it. far right, and therefore I don't want to hear anything that comes out of Farage's mouth or anyone from that party. So I'm not going to listen to them because I've already made my mind up on that subject. So, but as I say, the commitment to reducing immigration is part of a bigger umbrella, which is about putting British taxpayers first and the English first. And but and that is why, consequently, they are popular, or at least they're rising in popularity. And it's where this concept of Britain first comes from, because the assumption with a lot of people is that Britain first, the movement, is synonymous with far right neo Nazis, but it isn't. That's what they mean, putting British taxpayers first. That is where that concept comes from. And that's essentially what Reform are trying to do. That's the big umbrella. What comes underneath that umbrella is a commitment to reducing immigration, spending taxpayers' money on an indigenous English, and by that I mean, even foreign people who've settled in this country, but not shelling out loads of money on opportunism, opportunistic economic migrants coming into this country, as well as legit asylum claims. But again, charity is all very well, but there comes a point where it has to be moderated. So anyway, that is why these things aren't reflected in the news media, but this is basically at an intuitive level. This is why I understand that Keir Starmer's not popular and why Reform is getting more popular.